Money isn't everything, but it's pretty dang important to potential employees. So once you have your financial compensation competitive and on track, what's the real reason that someone would choose to work at your landscaping company? Find out the answer from a real employee of a multi-million-dollar landscape company about why he left his previous job for this new one in today's episode.
We weren't getting the leads that I knew we could. We weren't getting the right leads.
What started happening is that our leads are more qualified.
Our sales have probably gone up by about 10 to 15% a year.
We're going to increase our sales volume by $1 million in a year.
Hey, it's Jack Jostes, and you're about to hear a clip from my recent How to Retain and Recruit workshop, where we helped one of my clients figure out who their hell yes employee is. And they actually had one of their hell yes employees there. So we interviewed them and talked to them about why did they come and work for my client? What was the real reason outside of money? So we'll hear that in just a second. And I want to invite you to my next live virtual workshop. It's the 7 keys to recruiting talent in 2022. You can get your tickets at ramblinjackson.com/events. And I invite you to bring your HR people, marketing people, operations people, bring an employee with you, and let's figure out what's the reason people are working for you now and if that's missing in your marketing. So check it out in the show notes, ramblinjackson.com/events.
What was number one, Kevin? What was the number one compelling reason for you to leave and start working here?
Turk's story. So going into what I was saying earlier about, putting your best foot forward and doing what you say to your clients and backing your client representatives. My decision to change employers was not solely based on compensation. My number one reason for coming here was Turk's story. His business approach in honest work. Turk sold himself.
Kevin, you said you researched that before we even met on Voyager Chicago, that Voyager article.
Correct. In doing my own research, I found out what Turk stood for and what Cornerstone represents as a landscape business. And the reasons for me leaving my previous employer were, as a small company of relative size of Cornerstone, it felt like anything that we said as account managers or just as salaried employees fell on deaf ears.
So I think with the teamwork, though, there's some of these things around the listening, right? One of the things that Turk mentioned that is working well for me is he called it the quarterly employee pulse. We call him quarterly employee coaching. And during the first 90 days, we do that at least once a month. And I found that gets a lot of feedback to get things on track, and then also get feedback of, hey, if things are off track, like forget waiting for an annual conversation, right? 11 months could go by when it could be a few. So I think the quarterly coaching or the quarterly pulse.
Kevin had also mentioned to one of our leadership team members that he was concerned about not having enough one-on-one time to make sure that he was fully skilled and up to speed on what he needed to be responsible for. And that quickly changed. Unbeknownst to him, we had him scheduled for one-on-one weekly meetings. Kevin, has that satisfied that desire?
A little bit, and that's another conversation, but a little bit different from what I was talking to Andrew about. But I did intend to bring that up, Turk, was the weekly one-on-one meetings, I think, are huge, because that plays a huge part into what I was saying with previous employer about opinions fall on deaf ears. There's nobody to truly go to, whereas with your sitting down with the owner on a weekly basis to review anything is majorly beneficial, for my opinion, especially me being, new here. But as I develop, we narrow that down into, hey, I just can't get past this, or I've got this client that, giving direction to individually pinpoint issue and give directions on those is a huge deal.
I'm hearing great training. It sounds like, sounds like it's not just you get on board and then you're let loose. It's you have great training, and then there's also a continued element of training. That's why I like working at Ramblin Jackson. Jack's got us reading books and learning new stuff every week. So, I mean, does that kind of
Right.
what you're saying, Kevin, a little bit, or am I?
It goes beyond the training aspect of it.
Okay.
Turk does very well with that also, but it's more so, you get so busy in your day to day that you just mention things in passing, or you mention things in an email and it gets forgotten about. Whereas you sit down in this one-on-one meeting, and something that Turk and I needed to talk about was some low maintenance profit jobs. We will sit down and we will dig into that right then and there. And I've got an hour or an hour and a half of blocked out time where this is what we focus on. And I can schedule anything in that meeting, whether it be a proposal review, it be a profitability review, or I had a client that wanted to do a conference call. That was the perfect time that I know I've got this hour of time blocked out. I have Turk's full attention and vice versa.
Now, Jim Turkin is one of my marketing clients at Ramblin Jackson, and we've gotten the opportunity to work with him, and I've gotten to know him a bit. And, through getting to know him and reading that Voyager article, I can tell you that Jim is a incredible business leader. He's super giving and generous. He's very active. He's a public speaker with SIMA. He's really a smart and generous person. And like me, he's from the Midwest. And in the Midwest, you're raised on please and thank you, and you eat humble pie for dinner. And so he's got this Midwestern disease that a lot of people have. It's called nice guy-itis. Now, the problem with nice guy-itis is you can be too humble and you can not share enough of your story. And it's your story that actually will help recruit good people who want to work for other good people, right? So a lot of people, they're not working for a leader that they believe has integrity. And if you run a legitimate company, if you are a good leader, you'd be doing a disservice to your community to not share that story and to not help people come to you. But I know how it feels. Honestly, I don't even necessarily like social media. I don't really like Facebook. I'm out here making this selfie video. There are people who I know just walking by. It feels a little uncomfortable, but I do it because I know that it'll help my clients, it'll help my community, and it'll help me attract really great employees. So I've literally made it part of my job description to help tell the story, be the face of the company, and that has made a huge impact in my recruiting. So you're not alone if you resist, if this stuff feels uncomfortable. That's totally normal. And once you embrace it and once you figure it out, you can really start attracting great people. So I'm going to be sharing some more about how to do that, how to include your employer branding, the founder story, some of those things in our upcoming workshop on December 16th. So I'd love to see you there. Check it out, ramblinjackson.com/events. My name is Jack Jostes. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. See our show notes for links to more resources, and I look forward to talking with you next week.